Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a little mind trick so powerful it can turn a complete stranger into your new best buddy in just 5 seconds flat. Picture this. You're at a dimly lit medieval marketplace, the air thick with the scent of fresh bread and slightly questionable meat pies, surrounded by folks who'd sooner barter your socks than give you a smile. And yet, with one tiny technique, you've got them eating out of the palm of your hand, or at least sharing their questionable pie. Honestly, without this trick, you'd probably be stuck eating dirt for dinner and calling it a feast. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Where are you listening from, and what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. I love hearing from you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. All right, let's set the scene. You're walking through life. Maybe it's a bustling city street in 2023, or maybe you're pretending you're a weary traveler in ancient Rome, dodging chariots and trying not to step in, whatever that is on the cobblestones. Either way, you've got a problem. People. They're everywhere, and most of them aren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. You've got places to be, deals to make, or maybe just a desperate need for someone to point you toward the nearest tavern, or Starbucks. Let's be real. But how do you break the ice with someone who looks like they'd rather wrestle a bear than talk to you? Enter the 5-second technique, a little psychological hack that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. It's so simple, you'll kick yourself for not trying it sooner. And no, it's not about hypnosis or bribing people with gold coins, though honestly that might work too if you've got the budget. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of counting to 5, let's ground this in a bit of history. Here's the real deal. Humans have always been social creatures, even when we were busy inventing pointy sticks and figuring out fire. One solid historical truth is that ancient societies, like the Greeks during the height of Athens around 400 BCE, relied heavily on quick alliances to survive. Trade, politics, even just not getting speared by the neighbor's overzealous guard dog, it all depended on forming fast bonds. The agora, their marketplace, wasn't just for buying olives. It was a social hub where a stranger could become an ally with a well-timed nod or a shared complaint about the weather. Sound familiar? It's basically the ancient version of sliding into someone's DMs with a, "Hey, crazy day, huh?" These quick connections weren't just nice-to-haves, they were survival. Miss the chance to charm someone, and you might miss out on a trade deal, or worse, a heads-up about an incoming raid. But here's where it gets a little weird. There's this fringe story, take it with a grain of salt, that some ancient Persian merchants around 500 BCE had a bizarre ritual tied to this idea of quick bonding. Supposedly, they'd lock eyes with a potential trade partner and silently count to 5 while holding a small clay token, believing it channeled some kind of cosmic trust energy. If the other person didn't flinch or run screaming, boom, deal, sealed. Is there hard evidence for this? Nah, just some dusty old texts and a lot of raised eyebrows from archaeologists. But imagine the awkwardness of staring into someone's soul for 5 whole seconds while clutching a random rock. Talk about a power move or a restraining order waiting to happen. And speaking of debates, historians still argue whether these rapid bonding techniques were purely practical or if there was a deeper cultural or even spiritual layer to them. Did the Greeks just want a good deal on pottery, or were they tapping into some unspoken code of honor when they made eye contact and swapped a few words? We may never know, but it's fun to think about while you're sipping your chamomile tea and pretending you're Socrates. So, what's this 5-second technique all about? I'm not going to make you wait. Let's break it down. You spot someone. Could be a merchant in ancient times, could be the barista who's taking forever with your latte. Step 1, you lock eyes. Not in a creepy, "I'm going to steal your soul" way, but with a gentle, confident gaze. Feel the moment. Notice the warmth of the room, or maybe the faint chill of a breeze if you're outside. Let your shoulders relax. You've got this. Then silently count to 5 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. While you're counting, flash a small, genuine smile. Not a clown grin, just a little, hey, I'm not a total weirdo vibe. The magic here is in the pause. 5 seconds isn't long, but it's just enough to signal, I see you, I'm open to connecting. Most people can't resist that tiny window of sincerity. It's like a Wi-Fi signal for friendship. Here's a little chuckle for you. Imagine trying this in a modern boardroom. You're staring down your boss for 5 seconds, smiling like you've just discovered the meaning of life, and they're just sitting there wondering if you've lost it. Karen, you good? Yeah, maybe save this trick for less intense settings, or at least practice on your cat first. And speaking of awkward, ever notice how 5 seconds feels like an eternity when you're waiting for your food delivery app to load? Same energy here, but somehow way more rewarding. Oh, and one more laugh. Imagine those Persian merchants I mentioned standing there with their clay tokens, counting to 5, only to realize the other guys just zoned out thinking about lunch. Epic fail. Let's paint a sensory picture for a second. You're trying this technique out. Maybe you're in a crowded space, the hum of voices blending into a soft murmur around you. You catch someone's eye, and as you count to 1, 2, 3, you notice the faint scent of rain on the air, or maybe the bitter tang of coffee lingering nearby. By 5, there's this tiny shift, a spark of recognition, a nod, or even a returned smile. It's like the world slows down for just a heartbeat, and suddenly you're not strangers anymore. Side note, if they bolt in the other direction, hey, not everyone's ready for your charm. Brush it off and blame it on Mercury retrograde. Or something. Now, why does this work? It's not just ancient marketplace magic or cosmic clay token vibes. Modern psychology backs this up. Turns out, a brief moment of intentional eye contact paired with a non-threatening expression triggers something in our brains. It's called the liking effect. We're wired to respond to small gestures of trust, even from someone we don't know. 5 seconds is that sweet spot. Long enough to show intent, short enough not to cross into "why are you staring at me" territory. Back in the day, this might have been the difference between bartering for a loaf of bread or walking away empty-handed. Today, it's the difference between a polite "hi" and actually getting someone's name. Let's circle back to history for a moment. Think about how this played out in real time. You're a trader in ancient Athens, and you've got a cart full of pottery to sell. You spot a potential buyer, someone who looks like they've got a few coins to spare. You don't have time for a long-winded pitch. There's a line of other traders ready to swoop in. So you catch their eye, hold it for a quick 5 count, while offering a subtle grin, and suddenly they're walking over. That's power. That's the kind of micro-connection that built empires, or at least kept your family fed for another week. And yeah, maybe it didn't always work. Some folks probably thought you were up to no good. But when it did, it was gold. Here's a modern aside for you. Ever been at a party where you don't know a soul and you're just clutching your drink like it's your only friend? Try the 5-second technique next time. Pick someone who doesn't look like they're plotting world domination. Lock eyes for that quick count, smile, and see what happens. Worst case, they think you're quirky. Best case, you've got a new wingman for the night. And if all else fails, just pretend you're looking for the bathroom. Classic escape plan. As we wrap up this first dive into the 5-second technique, think about how small moments can shift everything. Whether you're in a dusty ancient market or a fluorescent lit grocery store, those 5 little seconds can open doors you didn't even know were there. Feel the weight of that for a moment. Let it sink in like a soft blanket over your shoulders. We've got more to explore about how this trick evolved over time. And trust me, there are some wild stories coming up. But for now, just breathe. With me, inhale the idea of connection. Exhale any hesitation. You've got the power to turn a stranger into an ally, one quiet count at a time. Hey guys, welcome back to the cozy corner of history where we're unraveling the magic of the 5-second technique. If you're just joining us, imagine yourself right now, snuggled under a soft blanket, the world outside fading into a distant hum. We're in the middle of a story about turning strangers into allies with a simple mental trick, and tonight, you're the star of this quiet adventure. So let's keep the vibe mellow. Grab that cup of chamomile, or just sink deeper into your pillow, and let's see what happens when a shy boy stumbles into a surprising moment. Picture this. You're a young lad named Elias, barely 16, living in a bustling 18th century port town in colonial America. Think Newport, Rhode Island around 1760. The air smells of salty ocean spray and freshly baked bread from the market stalls. Your boots scuff against uneven cobblestones as you weave through crowds of merchants haggling over barrels of molasses and sailors shouting about their latest voyages. You're painfully shy, the kind of kid who'd rather hide behind a crate than make eye contact with a stranger. Your palms sweat at the mere thought of speaking up, and your heart races like it's auditioning for a drumline. Aside, honestly, Elias, same. Public speaking still makes me want to fake a sudden illness and bolt. But today, something's different. You've heard whispers of this odd little trick from a traveling merchant, a method to push past fear in just 5 seconds. Count backward from 5, he said, and act before your brain can talk you out of it. You've been mulling it over for days, half convinced it's nonsense, half desperate to try it, and now, as you're trudging towards the docks to deliver a message for your uncle's shop fate, or maybe just bad timing, throws you a curveball. You round a corner near the wharf, and there she is, a girl about your age, struggling with a heavy basket of fish that's tipping dangerously to one side. Her auburn hair is slipping from under a bonnet, and her face is scrunched in frustration as she tries to balance the load. A few rough-looking sailors nearby snicker, but no one steps in to help. Your first instinct? Turn around, pretend you didn't see anything, and keep walking. Your cheeks are already burning, and your mind screaming, "Don't get involved, Elias! You'll just make a fool of yourself!" Aside, ugh, brain. Why are you always the worst wingman? But then, something clicks. You remember the merchant's words. 5 seconds. That's all you've got to override the panic. So, under your breath, you start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your legs feel like they're made of jelly, but before you can overthink it, you're stepping forward. You need a hand? You stammer, voice cracking like a poorly tuned fiddle. She looks up, startled, then flashes a grateful smile that makes your stomach do a weird flip. Together, you steady the basket, the rough weave scratching against your palms, the faint, fishy smell tickling your nose. It's awkward, sure, but for the first time in forever, you don't feel like running away. Here's a little historical truth to ground us. In the 18th century, port towns like Newport were melting pots of culture and commerce where strangers often had to rely on quick trust to survive. Helping a neighbor or a random girl with a fish basket could mean the difference between a good day and a ruined one. Communities thrived on these small acts of kindness, even if they started with a shaky voice and sweaty hands. But here's a quirky fringe detail for you. Some local folklore from the era claims that certain Newport merchants used counting charms, little mental tricks like counting backward, to ward off bad luck before striking a deal or approaching a stranger. Was it superstition or an early version of our 5-second technique? We'll never know for sure. And here's a fun academic tidbit. Historians still argue whether these counting rituals were purely psychological or tied to deeper spiritual beliefs of the time. What do you think, practical mind hack or mystical mumbo-jumbo? Back to you, Elias. As you help the girl, her name's Clara, by the way, carry the basket to her father's stall, she chatters about how the catch was almost lost to a rogue wave this morning. You're mostly nodding, still half-shocked you even spoke up, but her laughter at your shy mumbles feels like a warm breeze on a chilly day. And here's a little jest for you. Turns out, helping someone doesn't just build allies, it also builds biceps. That basket is heavy, and you're pretty sure your arms are screaming for mercy. Aside, if only they had gym memberships back then, right? I'd be signing Elias up for a free trial. The sensory details hit you in waves now. The creak of wooden ships in the harbor, the distant cry of gulls overhead, the way Clara's bonnet ribbon flutters as she turns to thank you. Your nerves are still buzzing, but there's a tiny spark of pride in your chest. You did it. You didn't run. And when Clara's father, a gruff man with a beard like a bristly broom, claps you on the shoulder and offers a small coin for your trouble, you almost drop it in shock. "Good lad," he grunts, and you manage a crooked smile. Joke number 2, looks like Elias just earned his first tip. "Move over, Colonial Uber, there's a new delivery guy in town." But it's not just about the coin or the thanks. It's the shift inside you. For once, you didn't let fear win. That 5-second technique, as ridiculous as it sounded at first, gave you just enough of a push to step out of your shell. And Clara? She's no longer a stranger. She waves as you leave, promising to look for you at the next market day. Your heart's still pounding, but it's not all panic now. There's a flicker of excitement, too. Maybe, just maybe, you're not as invisible as you thought. Let's toss in one more lighthearted jab before we move on. Turns out, Elias, you've got game, or at least the 18th century equivalent of it. Helping with a fish basket might not be a grand romantic gesture, but hey, it's a start. Baby steps, right? Aside, modern dating apps could learn a thing or two from this. Swipe right on kindness, folks. As you walk back toward your uncle's shop, the cobblestones feel a little less daunting underfoot. The salty air fills your lungs with a quiet strength, and the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer seems to match the steady beat of your newfound courage. You're still shy, still awkward, but you've got a secret weapon now. 5 seconds. That's all it took to turn a stranger into someone who knows your name, and who knows? Maybe next time you'll count down even faster. So, there you are, Elias, standing a smidge taller as the sun dips lower over the harbor, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks. The world feels just a tiny bit friendlier tonight. And for you, my cozy listeners, let's pause here and soak in that feeling. Imagine the weight of that basket in your hands, the relief of a kind word, the slow unraveling of fear into something softer. We've got more to explore with the 5-second technique, more strangers to meet, and more quiet victories to claim. But for now, just breathe with me. Inhale that salty air, exhale the day's tension. Let's keep this journey gentle and steady, like the tide rolling in. Hey guys, welcome back to this cozy little corner of history. If you're just joining us, we've been diving deep into the wild and surprisingly powerful idea of the 5-second technique, a little mind hack that can turn awkward encounters with strangers into genuine connections. So, grab that fluffy blanket, maybe a warm mug of something sweet, and let's keep this journey rolling. Picture this. You're standing in a crowded room, the hum of chatter buzzing like a distant hive. Your palms are a little sweaty, gross, but real, and your heart's doing that annoying thump-thump thing. There's someone across the room you'd love to talk to, maybe for a collab, a friendship, or just to not feel like the weird loner in the corner. But fear's got you in a chokehold. What if you say something dumb? What if they stare at you like you've grown a second head? Enter the 5-second technique, your secret weapon. You count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And before your brain can overthink itself into a meltdown, you're moving, feet shuffling, mouth opening, words spilling out. It's not magic, but it sure feels like it. Now, let's ground this in a bit of history, because I know you're here for the bedtime history vibes. One of the earliest recorded uses of a countdown-like mechanism to overcome hesitation comes from the 19th century during the Industrial Revolution. Factory workers in England, often terrified of approaching their strict overseers with grievances, were taught by early labor organizers to use a mental trick. Count to 5 before speaking. up. Historical records from the 1830s show that this method helped workers muster the courage to demand better conditions, even if it meant risking their jobs. It wasn't called the 5-second technique back then. Honestly, they probably just called it not chickening out. But the principle was the same. A small, deliberate push to act before fear could win. Here's where it gets a bit quirky, though. There's a lesser-known, almost fringe story from the same era about a traveling circus performer named Elias the Hesitant Harrow. Legend has it that Elias, a tightrope walker, was paralyzed by stage fright before every performance. His solution? He'd mutter a 5-beat chant under his breath. Some say it was counting, others claim it was a nonsense rhyme, before stepping onto the rope. Whether it's true or just circus folklore, the idea stuck with his troupe, who started using it for everything from juggling to facing down cranky ringmasters. I mean, if it works for a guy balancing 50 feet in the air, it's gotta work for asking someone for their Wi-Fi password, right? Of course, not everyone agrees on the origins of these mental tricks. Historians still argue whether the countdown method was truly a widespread practice among workers or just a romanticized tale spun by early union leaders to inspire action. Some say it's more likely that the concept evolved independently across cultures, tied to our natural instinct to brace ourselves before danger. What do you think? Was it a clever invention or just human nature doing its thing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious. Let's bring this back to you, though. Imagine the sensation of that countdown ticking in your head. 5. Your shoulders tense like you're about to jump into cold water. 4. Your breath catches, sharp and quick. 3. The room seems to slow, voices fading into a soft blur. 2. Your feet feel heavier, but somehow ready. 1. And boom, you're off, walking toward that stranger with a shaky grin. It's not about being fearless. It's about outsmarting your own brain. And hey, if it worked for factory workers facing down Victorian bosses with mutton chops and bad attitudes, it can work for you at that awkward networking event. Speaking of awkward, here's a little modern aside. Have you ever noticed how we're basically just Victorian factory workers, but instead of asking for fair wages, we're asking for likes on Instagram? I mean, come on, the stakes feel just as high sometimes. Will they double tap or leave me on read? The drama. But seriously, that same 5-second push can get you past the scroll and stalk phase to actually DMing someone. Try it next time you're overthinking a message. Count down, hit send, and then hide under your blanket if you must. No judgment here. Let's sprinkle in another light chuckle for you. Picture yourself using this technique at, say, a family reunion. You've got that one uncle who always corners you with conspiracy theories about alien overlords. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam, you're walking over to say hi before he can start on lizard people. If that's not courage, I don't know what is. And honestly, the look on his face when you beat him to the punch? Priceless. But let's get sensory for a moment. When you use this countdown, notice the little things. The way your fingers might fidget with a pen, or the edge of your sleeve as you count. The faint smell of coffee or rain in the air as you step forward. The quiet rush of adrenaline that feels like a tiny wave crashing in your chest. These details anchor you, make the moment real, and somehow make the fear less fearsome. It's like your body's saying, hey, we've got this, even if your brain's being a drama queen. Here's another modern aside, because I can't help myself. Think about using this trick at a coffee shop. You spot someone with a laptop sticker of your favorite obscure band. Total soulmate vibes, right? But your inner critic's like, nah, they'll think you're a creep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go compliment the sticker. Worst case, they give you a weird look and you pretend to check your phone like you're getting an urgent text from your goldfish. Best case, you've got a new concert buddy. Life's too short to overthink a laptop sticker, my friend. And just for laughs one more time, imagine if historical figures had this technique on speed dial. Like, What if Shakespeare used it to pitch Romeo and Juliet to some snooty theater? Owner? 54321. Yo, it's a tragedy, but with romance, you'll love it. Okay, maybe not, but I'd pay to see that awkward convo go down. The man wrote about star-crossed lovers. He had to have some game, right? Now, let's zoom out a bit. Using the 5-second technique isn't just about breaking the ice with strangers, it's about building allies, one tiny act of courage at a time. Those factory workers weren't just asking for better hours, they were forging bonds with each other, creating a community that could stand up together. Elias the tightrope walker wasn't just conquering his fear, he was inspiring his circus family to take risks too. And you, right now, counting down to say hi to someone new? You're not just chatting. You're opening a door to something bigger, a friendship, a collaboration. Or, heck, just a really good story to tell later. Here's the thing I want you to hold on to as we wrap this section. Fear's a sneaky little gremlin, always whispering worst-case scenarios in your ear. But it's also lazy. Give it 5 seconds to overthink, and it wins. Cut it off at the pass with a quick countdown, and suddenly you're the one in charge. You're not waiting for permission or the perfect moment. You're making the moment happen. And yeah, sometimes it'll be messy. Sometimes you'll stumble over your words or get a polite no thanks. But more often than not, you'll be surprised by how many people are just as nervous as you, waiting for someone to make the first move. So, next time you're stuck in that freeze frame of doubt, remember those gritty factory workers counting to 5 before facing their fears. Remember Elias teetering on a tightrope with nothing but a chant to keep him steady. And remember that feeling, the sweaty palms, the racing heart, the quiet thrill of stepping forward anyway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! You've got this. Let's pause here for tonight. Take a deep breath with me. Feel that soft hum of the world around you. Whether it's a fan whirring or just the quiet of your room, we've got more to explore. About how this tiny trick can transform not just conversations, but entire relationships and communities. So, stick around for the next section. For now, let your mind drift a little. Think about one person you'd like to connect with and imagine counting down to that first, hey. No pressure, just a quiet thought to carry into your dreams. See you soon for more bedtime history. Hey there! Welcome back to our cozy little corner of history. I hope you've got your blanket pulled up just right. Maybe a warm mug of something soothing nearby. We've been diving deep into this wild idea of the 5-second technique, and now, in this section, we're going to watch the real magic happen. You're about to see how trust, yes, that slippery, hard-to-pin-down feeling, can form in an instant, turning total strangers into allies. So, let's keep the vibe soft and mellow, and ease into this moment together. Imagine my voice as a gentle whisper, like a friend telling you a secret by the campfire. Ready? Let's go. Picture this. You're standing in a bustling marketplace. In ancient Rome, around 100 BCE. The air smells of fresh bread, overripe fruit, and a hint of sweat from the crowd pressing in around you. Voices overlap in a chaotic hum, merchants haggling, children laughing, and the occasional bleat of a goat being dragged to its fate. You're just another face in the crowd, a stranger in a sea of strangers. But then it happens. You lock eyes with someone across the way. Maybe they've got a basket of olives balanced on their hip, or they're juggling a handful of coins. Doesn't matter. You count down in your head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you flash them a genuine, unguarded smile. Not the fake, tight-lipped kind you'd give your boss on a Monday morning, but a real one. And just like that, something shifts. Now, here's where the history comes in. We know from records and writings, like those of the Roman historian Livy, that trust and alliances in ancient societies often hinged on small, personal gestures. A shared look, a nod, or a quick handshake could signal, hey, I'm not here to rob you blind. In a world where betrayal could cost you your livelihood, or worse, these micro moments of connection were everything. Romans, for instance, We're obsessed with the concept of fides, or trust, which was practically a sacred bond in business and politics. So, when you smile at that olive seller in the marketplace, you're tapping into a cultural code that's been around for centuries. It's not just a grin, it's a tiny contract of goodwill. But let's get a little weird with it, shall we? There's this fringe theory floating around some historical circles that the Romans might have had a secret to instant trust, something beyond just a smile. Some speculate that certain merchants or diplomats used a subtle, rhythmic tapping of their fingers or feet during interactions, almost like a Morse code of friendship. Imagine you're standing there smiling, and the olive seller starts tapping their foot in a deliberate pattern. Tap, tap, pause, tap. Is it a signal? A secret handshake without the hand? No one's found hard evidence in the scrolls or ruins, but it's a quirky idea that makes you wonder if trust was sometimes choreographed. I mean, if I'm tapping my foot at a stranger today, they'd probably just think I'm impatient or need to use the restroom. Modern problems, right? And of course, not everyone agrees on how trust worked back then. Historians still argue whether I fids was truly about personal connection or just a fancy way of saying, don't mess with me or I'll sue you in the forum. Was it heartfelt or was it all strategy? You decide. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Were the Romans hopeless romantics of trust or just really good at playing the game? Back to you in that marketplace. Let's say the olive seller smiles back. Their face softens, and for a split second, the chaos around you fades. You feel the warmth of the sun on your neck, the rough cobblestone under your sandals grounding you, and this tiny spark of something, connection, safety. Whatever it is, it's real. You nod, they nod, and before you know it, you're walking over to chat. Maybe you haggle over a handful of olives, or maybe they warn you about the shady guy selling fake amphorae down the street. Point is, in just 5 seconds, you've gone from, who's this rando, to, hey, we're kind of cool with each other? And isn't that wild? Trust, built faster than you can order a latte at Starbucks. Speaking of lattes, here's a little aside. Modern life could use a dose of this ancient magic. Imagine trying the 5-second technique at your local coffee shop. You lock eyes with the barista, count down, flash a smile, and suddenly they're slipping you an extra shot of espresso on the house. Okay, maybe not, but a guy can dream. Or at least you've made their day a tiny bit brighter. Small wins, people. Let's toss in a little humor while we're at it. First off, if trust was this easy in ancient Rome, why am I still awkward at networking events? I mean, I smile at someone across the room and they look at me like I've just stolen their sandwich. Second, can you imagine if goats in that marketplace had the 5-second technique? You lock eyes with a goat, count down, and boom, it's your new bestie. Hey, want to split this hay? And third, let's be real. If trust was built this fast back then, how come my Wi-Fi still takes 5 minutes to connect? Priorities, universe. Now, feel the scene again. The marketplace noise creeps back in, but it's softer now, almost like a lullaby. The scent of olives and bread lingers in your nose, and your shoulders relax just a bit. You've got a new ally, even if it's just for this fleeting moment, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Trust doesn't always have to be forever. Sometimes it's just a quick bridge between two strangers, a little island of we're okay in a sea of uncertainty. You clutch your small bag of olives, give the seller one last nod, and move on through the crowd. But you carry that warmth with you like a tiny ember glowing in your chest. Here's another modern aside to chew on. Think about how rare this feels today. We're so buried in screens and notifications that locking eyes with a stranger feels like a plot twist in a sci-fi movie. When's the last time you smiled at someone on the street without overthinking it? Try it tomorrow, 5 seconds, see what happens. Worst case, they think you're weird. Best case, you've got a new olive seller buddy, minus the olives, unless. You're at a farmer's market. As you wander away from the stall, let's linger on the sensation of that moment. The cobblestones are uneven underfoot, each step a small reminder of where you are. The sun is dipping lower now, casting long shadows that stretch and dance across the ground. Your breath slows, matching the rhythm of the crowd's murmur. It's like the world is exhaling with you just for a second. And in that second, you realize something. Trust isn't just about big promises or grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as a glance, a smile, a shared understanding that says, "Hey, we're both human. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." So there you are, weaving through the ancient Roman crowd, a little lighter than before. You've seen the magic of the 5-second technique unfold right in front of you. A stranger-turned ally, all because you took a chance in 5 tiny ticks of time. Isn't that something to carry with you even now as you snuggle deeper into your pillow? Let that thought settle over you like a soft, warm blanket. Trust can be instant. Connection can be easy. And sometimes all it takes is a moment of courage to make it happen. We've still got more to explore with this technique, more stories to whisper into the night. But for now, just rest in this feeling. Picture that marketplace fading into the background, the hum of voices blending into a gentle, white noise. You're safe here, wrapped in history and possibility. Let's pause, breathe, and get ready for the next chapter of our journey together. Stick around, okay? I've got more to share, and I'd hate for you to miss it. Until then, let the warmth of that ancient sun linger on your skin, even as you drift closer to sleep. Sweet dreams are just around the corner. Hey there, my cozy history buffs. You've stuck with me through the wild tales of how the 5-second rule transformed awkward encounters into lifelong alliances. Now, we're at the final stretch where the spotlight turns to you. That's right. It's time to take this quirky little technique out for a spin and see how it can weave some magic into your own life. So, snuggle deeper into those blankets, let the soft glow of your bedside lamp wash over you, and imagine the faint rustle of leaves outside your window as we chat. I'm keeping my voice low and steady, like a gentle stream trickling over smooth stones, so you can just drift along with me. Let's start with a little historical grounding to inspire your journey. Did you know that the concept of quick, decisive action in social settings has roots in ancient Roman culture? The Romans, ever the pragmatic bunch, had a saying, "Audentes fortuna iuvat," fortune favors the bold. Historical records from the writings of Pliny the Elder suggest that Roman senators often used brief, bold introductions at public forums to win over skeptical crowds within moments. They didn't have a literal 5-second rule, of course, but the principle was there. Strike. Fast, make an impression, and don't overthink it. It's a tactic that carried them through political alliances and, let's be honest, probably a few awkward dinner parties, too. Now, for something a bit weirder to tickle your curiosity. There's a fringe story, mind you, not verified by any dusty textbook that in medieval European courts, jesters were trained to use a rapid-fire quip or jest within the first few seconds of meeting a noble to break the ice. Supposedly, if they didn't get a laugh in under 5 heartbeats, they risked being tossed out, or worse, becoming the evening's entertainment in a less flattering way. Is it true? Who knows? But it paints a hilarious picture of some poor fool jingling his bells and sweating buckets to crack a smile before the clock runs out. Can you imagine the pressure? Talk about a medieval stand-up comedy flop. And here's a little academic spice for you to chew on as you ponder your own 5-second moves. Historians still argue whether the success of rapid bonding techniques, like those used by the Romans or even modern speed dating events, relies more on instinct or cultural conditioning. Are we wired to trust quick confidence, or do we just mimic what society tells us works? It's a chicken or egg debate that could keep scholars up past their bedtime, though I'm guessing you're more interested in catching some Z's than joining that argument right now. So, how did you make the 5-second rule your own? Picture this. You're at a coffee shop, the aroma of freshly ground beans wrapping around you like a warm hug, and you spot someone at the counter who looks friendly but unapproachable. Maybe they've got headphones on, or they're buried in a book thicker than a brick. Your heart does that little skip. Should I say hi? Should I not? Here's where you channel your inner Roman senator or medieval jester. Count down from 5. In your head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just go. Say something simple like, "Hey, I couldn't help but notice your book. Any good?" That's it. No grand speech, no overthinking. Just a quick, genuine opener before your brain has a chance to talk you out of it. Feel that tiny rush of adrenaline in your chest as you speak? That's the magic kicking in. Let's sprinkle in a little humor to keep things light. First off, if they don't respond, don't sweat it. Maybe they're just secretly plotting world domination and you've interrupted their evil genius moment. Second, if you fumble your words, own it. Say something like, "Wow, I'm clearly not a poet, but hi anyway." And third, if they give you a weird look, just imagine they're picturing you in a jester's hat. Heck, give them a mental curtsy and move on. Life's too short to take a 5-second flop personally, right? Now, let's get sensory for a sec. As you try this, notice the little things, how your palms might get a tad clammy before you speak, or how the air feels just a smidge heavier as you wait for their reply. Maybe there's a faint clink of cups around you, grounding you in the moment. These tiny details anchor you, reminding you that this isn't some grand battlefield. It's just a chat, a connection, a small ripple in your day. And hey, quick, aside, modern life's got no shortage of 5-second opportunities, yeah? Slide into someone's DMs with a quick, "Hey, loved your post," before you overthink it. Or at a Zoom meeting, unmute yourself and toss out a fast, "Great idea," to break the virtual ice. It's 2023. Even pixels deserve a little boldness. But why does this work? It's not just about speed. It's about showing up as your raw, unfiltered self before your inner critic slams on the brakes. That 5-second window is your chance to be human, flaws and all. Maybe you're at a park, the grass tickling your ankles through your sandals, and you see a dog owner struggling with a leash. Count down, step up, and offer a hand with a quick, "Need some backup." You're not solving world hunger, you're just planting a seed of kindness. Or maybe you're at a family reunion, the smell of grilled burgers in the air, and you've got an aunt you've barely spoken to. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. "Hey, tell me about that recipe you mentioned." Boom. Connection started. Feel how your shoulders loosen just a bit when they smile back. That's the payoff. Let's zoom out for a broader picture. This isn't just about one-off chats. It's about building a web of tiny alliances, day by day. History shows us that the strongest bonds, whether in ancient Rome or a medieval court, often started with a single bold moment. So, think of each 5-second leap as a brick in your own personal empire of friendships. Will every attempt stick? Nah. Some folks are just not vibing, and that's okay. But the more you try, the more you'll stumble into those golden connections that make life a little brighter. Another quick aside. Don't you love how apps like TikTok have basically gamified this? Post a 5-second clip, get a like, instant ally. It's like the Romans would have killed for a swipe right feature at the forum. Technology, man, it's wild. As you experiment with this, remember to keep it light. Not every interaction needs to be a soul-bearing confession. Sometimes a quick "nice shirt" as you pass someone on the street while feeling the breeze brush your face is enough to spark a grin. Other times, it's just saying hi to the barista who's clearly having a rough day, noticing the faint smudge of coffee on their apron as you do. These micro moments add up, weaving a quiet warmth into your routine. And one last modern nudge. Next time you're doom scrolling, use that 5-second countdown to comment something nice on a stranger's post instead. It's the digital equivalent of a Roman handshake minus the toga. Now, let's ease into a softer rhythm as we wind down. Imagine yourself lying there, the weight of the day slowly melting off your shoulders, your breath sinking with the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Picture a quiet meadow in your mind, the grass swaying under a twilight sky, each blade whispering a little encouragement. You've got this 5-second trick in your back pocket now, a small but mighty tool to turn strangers into smiles, maybe even allies. There's no rush, no pressure, just the soft promise of tomorrow, where you can try again, one quick countdown at a time. Feel the coolness of your pillow against your cheek, the faint hum of the world outside fading into a distant lullaby. Let your thoughts drift like clouds, light and unhurried, knowing that every connection you make, no matter how small, adds a thread to the tapestry of your story. You don't need to conquer empires or juggle for kings. Just a simple, hey, can be enough. So rest easy now, wrapped in the quiet glow of possibility. Let the night carry you gently, like a boat on a calm sea, into dreams where every 5-second moment blooms into something beautiful.